The Diary of Anne Frank test. I'd like to go over this with you and explain a few things so that might be helpful for you as you are taking the test. Why does Mr. Frank say we don't need the Nazis to destroy us? We're destroying ourselves. So you can select from these four answers. First one says the occupants, which means the people that were living in the secret annex are attacking each other due to stress and fear. He believes that it's their own fault that they have to hide from the Nazis. None of the occupants of the secret annex fully understand what dangers they are in. Mr. Frank is wondering if they'll be discovered first or die first. So, think back to like how they were interacting with each other in the annex. And I think Mr. Carlson had mentioned about how their relationships were deteriorating. So keep that in mind when you will go to answer that question. What theme is tied to the line, we don't need the Nazis to destroy us, we're destroying ourselves? So theme is an overarching idea throughout a piece of literature. And so what we're looking for is what theme is tied to the line, we don't need the Nazis to destroy us, we're destroying ourselves. So that kind of indicates that there's a lot of infighting. And if we think about that with the theme throughout, how does that apply to, we want to think about which one of these would be a theme. No one wins at war. It is human nature to turn on each other during difficult times. Cruelty exists among even the kindest people. Hatred grows easily within families. So human nature, that just means like people naturally do these things without really thinking about it. So select one of these as the theme that goes throughout the play, but also you might see it right here in this line. What is the tone of Mr. Frank's line, we don't need the Nazis to destroy us, we're destroying ourselves? So tone is kind of like what's the feeling that is associated or part of this. So is it anger, sadness, surprise, excitement? We don't need the Nazis to destroy us, we're destroying ourselves. The first scene and the last scene of the play take place in November 1945. Which words best fit the rest of the play? So this is like these are parts of literature, or what you might call like a definition of literature to describe something that's happening in a book or play. So if the first scene and the last scene are same time period, but the middle part is different, so you have to think about that. So it's the first part in 1945, but then the play goes to to fall of 1942. So would that be called a flashback, fiction, dreamlike, unreliable narrator? What is the best term for what happens in the play? At the very end of the play, what do we realize that Mr. Frank has been doing all along during the story? So this means like, yeah, it started out in 1945 and he finds her diary. Then we go back in time. So what is he doing the whole time during that, as we go to back into 1942? And we learn all about what has happened in the annex. What is he doing the whole time? Is he crying? Is he reading Anne's diary? Is he constructing a memorial to his family? Or interviewing Meep and Mr. Krayler? Bookends are supports on either side of a set of books used to hold the books upright. That's what these blue horses are, I guess, or maybe that's like chess pieces. Why does the word bookends fit the structure of the play? So we have like, this is like, so it'd be like the beginning of the play where Mr. Frank is talking to Meep and looking at Anne's diary. And then we have what happens in the annex would be in the middle here. And then over here is on the other end when we're back in 1945. So kind of holds all of this together. So the question is, why does the word bookends fit what happens in the play? Do the bookends like this, do they hold the first and last scenes together in the heart of the story? Without the first and last scenes, the story would not make sense. The story is very inspiring and memorable. Not all the play takes place during World War II. Okay, I'm going to tell you that it's probably not this one or this one. So take a look at these two. In this play, what purpose do most of the sound effects have? So if you remember, like sometimes there'd be a car coming, screeching by, and then everybody in the annex would react to that because they were afraid that it was the Gestapo pulling up. So in this play, what purpose do most of the sound effects have? So remember, how does that make them feel? Do the sound effects move the plot forward? Meaning, kind of creates some motivation because of how the characters often react to them. They add variety to the play, like they make it a little more interesting. They are meant to add a realistic tone to the play. They are ignored by the characters, showing that they are unaware of the outside world. So just remember, the characters did react to them, okay? What is the main importance of stage directions in a play? So stage directions are giving the actors kind of like what they're supposed to be doing, but then also it describes the set and it describes what's supposed to be happening. So what is the main importance of stage directions in a play? They help reveal the setting and character traits. They break up the dialogue. Dialogue is where people are talking, so the play doesn't all sound the same. They add realism to the play, meaning that it makes it more real. And they keep the audience interested by moving the actors around. So what is particularly unique about the play's set from the perspective of the actors? Let's break this apart. So, like, what is unusual about this play's, the set is where the actors are performing. So from the perspective of the actors, meaning as if you were an actor in this play, you're going to always be you're going to be seen the whole time, right? So that means that you got to be in character. You got to be that character the whole time. So what is unique about this set? It can be dangerous. It is symbolic, meaning that there's some symbolism involved in it somehow. It represents something. It shows the theme. The actors are visible at all times. It is easy to get around. So how does it impact the actors, this set? When Mr. Frank says, "She puts me to shame" as the last line of the play, to what is he referring? What is he talking about? She puts me to shame. What does he mean by that? He's reading her diary and he sees her last entry. So he's referring to why does he feel like he feels shameful? He feels He feels bad about his own behavior. Some harsh things Anne says in her diary about him. Anne's positive philosophy about humankind. This means like she was positive philosophy is like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. People are good. She thinks that most people are good at heart. That's her belief. So, and then this is his wife's dying wish to know he survived. Miep's heroic actions in keeping the occupants of the secret annex well cared for. So how does Anne put him to shame, or make him feel like he should change his thinking? What theme does this final line of the play support? What theme? When we talk about theme and the overall idea throughout the play is like the overall idea throughout the play. So how does the final line support it? Which is where he says, I think it's, she puts me to shame. Some people remain remarkably strong and positive under the most harsh conditions. Positive meaning like, we can do this. And they were definitely in harsh conditions, weren't they? All people have committed wrongs and must admit it. Our children grow to be stronger than ourselves. It is better to die with dignity than to survive with guilt. Dignity is with respect for yourself, and other people respect you too. Meaning, so it's better to die with dignity than to survive with guilt, like you didn't do the right thing. So which one of these supports the theme throughout? What is Mr. Frank's primary feeling toward his youngest daughter when he says, she put me to shame? What is Mr. Frank's primary? So that means like his most basic feeling, or his first feeling toward his daughter when he says, she puts me to shame. How is he feeling about her? Is he frustrated with her? Is he in awe with her philosophy of being positive no matter what? Disbelief? Confidence. So how does what is his feeling towards her? Why do the playwrights stop Anne's final lines in the play mid-sentence? Playwrights are the people who wrote the play, and they ended the Anne's final lines in mid-sentence, meaning it stopped abruptly. It stopped before she could finish the sentence. Why did the authors do that? To suggest that Anne's dreams are never fulfilled, because she's talking about what she plans to do in the future in those final sentences. To emphasize the suddenness of the Gestapo's invasion of the secret annex. To deepen the sadness of the audience. To create uncertainty about what happened to her after she left the secret annex. These are all kind of tricky, kind of close together. So I would say I would narrow it down. All of these could be good answers. I'm going to give you two. This one, the top one, or this one. Why do Anne's final two lines, one said to Peter and one written in her diary, have in common? In both, she's speaking of the future. In both, she is expressing great fear. In both, she is admitting that she does not know what will come next. In both, she is unable to express how she feels. How do Anne's final lines and her father's final line relate to each other? So remember, she's hopeful at the end, and her father is feeling like oh, I wish I would have been hopeful, right? So how are they related? Meaning, like, how do these two lines relate to each other? She has hope and he has lost his. He feels tremendous guilt for her death. His shame is that her life was incomplete. He never knew what she thought of him as a father toward the end. Again, these are pretty close. So I'm going to give you a choice, not this one, and not this one. So pick those top two. What seems to be the main conflict in the play? Conflict between what was going on in the play. The Nazis versus the occupants of the secret annex. When you look at the play, the Nazis are not in the play, so keep that in mind. Okay, I mean they're outside of that, but the occupants never really interact with the Nazis. The people who live in the annex don't do that. Children versus adults. Person versus person in times of tremendous stress and fear, or person versus self. I read through here. What theme does the main conflict of the play support? Talked about theme. What is the overarching idea throughout the play? What's the main? You got to think about the main conflict. It is human nature to hurt each other when trying to protect oneself. Remember, human nature is just like something you just do naturally. Persecution of others never succeeds, but only destroys the one who persecutes. That's a hard one. Persecution is like you tell somebody you're wrong, but actually they're saying it destroys the one who is telling the other person they're wrong. A difficult life can improve if one is hopeful. To outlive those we love creates a sense of shame in ourselves. So it's not this one and it's not this one, so consider that. Which of the following statements would Anne have most likely agreed with? We must live each day to the fullest. Not everyone can find peace. Hate harms the hater more than the hated. Our first impressions of others are often inaccurate. We only see the truth after time passes. Okay. Based on what we know about each, which person would most agree with Anne's view of humankind? Margot, Mrs. Von Don, Mr. Dussel, or Miep? To what degree, gonna script this here. There's not really a good answer. This is your whatever you want. To what degree do you agree with this statement? In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Do you agree that people are really good at heart? Then put agree. If you don't, then disagree. And then you're going to explain your answer. If you disagree, why do you disagree? All right. Good luck.